Today I bring to you the painting process of master study Vermeer's classic masterpiece, Girl with a Pearl Earring. In this video, I will explain my painting steps and colors, mediums. I will also share some of my experiences while painting. After watching this video, you will also gain more understanding about the methods of classical oil painting. Now, let's begin. For this painting, I used the traditional method for creating an oil painting ground. The size of the stretcher frame is 64.5 centimeters by 83 centimeters. This method, one I learned from a teacher. It is a traditional method commonly used for preparing an oil painting ground. However, because the process is quite complex, I have a separate tutorial video to introduce it. It's in my membership video section. Interested friends can go check it out. You can also use other methods to prepare the ground. In short, the canvas must be prepared to have a very smooth texture. To be suitable for this painting, by examining the details of the original work, we can notice that the texture of the linen canvas is not visible on this painting. Therefore, we should ideally use a canvas of similar quality. Next, we transfer the drawing. My method for transferring the drawing is to draw the line out on sketch paper. Apply a layer of pigment on the back of the sketch paper, and then use a colored pencil to trace over the outline lines, transferring the drawing onto the canvas. The advantage of doing this is that it allows for a more accurate line drawing, and also avoids contaminating the canvas by drawing directly on it with a pencil. Next is the underpainting drawing. For the ground color of this painting, I used red oxide, which is quite dark. Therefore, I use white to draw on top of it. Some students might not be very accustomed to this method, because they usually use a black pencil to draw on white paper. Here it's completely the opposite. It's somewhat like using chalk to draw on a school blackboard. In classical oil painting, dark grounds are actually very common. This helps unify the picture and suits the characteristics of oil paint. Light areas are painted thicker, dark areas are painted thinner. So starting with white is a customary practice in classical oil painting. After finishing the face, I then paint the other areas with dark colors. The colors I used here are yellow ochre, red oxide, lead white, and ivory black. This is just a thin layer of underpainting, used to stabilize the image. For this layer, I use a small amount of thinner. Many classical oil paintings use these relatively dark, earth tone colors for the underpainting. This way, during subsequent painting, some of this ground color can show through the gaps, making the entire picture look more unified and stable. Next, I apply a base layer for the skin. Before doing this step, I also wait for the previous layer to dry completely. For the dark areas of this base layer, we use this relatively dark color, and for the light areas, we use a greenish yellowish color. I mix this set of colors using yellow ochre, red oxide, cobalt blue, and lead white. The purpose of laying down this color layer is also to make subsequent colors. Next, we paint the first layer of skin tones. You need to wait about 3 days for the surface to dry completely before starting this step. Before starting, you can learn some skin tone mixing techniques to help everyone better understand color relationships. I used lead white, cobalt blue, yellow ochre, red oxide to create this classic color chart. Then, using the colors from the chart, I start working on top of the underpainting drawing. In Vermeer's time, unlike modern people, who can use various colors readily, painters had to grind pigments by hand before painting. Therefore, each time they painted, the range of colors used was relatively limited. They also needed to have a general plan for the use of color in the painting. Pay attention to the value of colors. A good way to check is to take a photo of your painting with your phone, then adjust it to black and white. Simultaneously, compare it with a black and white image of the original. If there is a significant difference between the two, you need to adjust the value of your colors. This actually tests your drawing skills. A good painter must have a solid foundation in drawing. Here I am using linseed oil. After the base layer dries, we gradually build up the skin tones. The colors used are the same as before. We can use glazing, then add color, then glaze again. Gradually, this makes the skin tones more and more sheeny. When using this multi-layer technique, it's crucial to observe the rule of fat over lean. That means using leaner paint in the lower layers, and fatter, or oilier, paint in the upper layers. Thinner is lean, oil is fat, even fatter are stand oil or thickened oils, so I generally use thinner in the lower layers. Adding oil to paint, then gradually reduce the proportion of thinner. In the final layers, I might use stand oil or purified oil. By following this principle, You avoid major problems with the paint, otherwise the paint can crack or discolor. Another point is not to use too much oil, because if you apply too much oil in one area, that oil can easily discolor over time. Pigments themselves are less prone to discoloration. Most prone to discoloration are the various oils. I have some paintings where, after applying certain oils, those areas turned yellow after a few years, which became very noticeable. Next, we paint the clothes and headscarf. For the dark parts of the headscarf, I use the color mixed from deep cobalt blue and cerulean blue as the base color. Applying the color, let some of the underpainting show through for the dark areas. For the light areas, mix in white. Later, when covering the clothing area, the same principle applies. This layer of color is not the most vibrant. It looks a bit grayish and pinkish. What we need to focus on is the shape changes of the folds and the contrast of light and dark. Note that in Vermeer's paintings, although the face is painted very softly and delicately, the folds of the clothing and fabric are often rendered with straighter, harder lines. Overall, they are also more open. Doing this is to make the focus of the painting converge on the face. Other parts are subdued and softened. After this layer dries, we can increase the color saturation. Glazing. When glazing, also use linseed oil to apply transparent or semi-transparent colors over the already painted shapes underneath. Combined with painting mediums, this forms a tinted film. This can actually solve many problems you encounter when mixing values and colors, like colors turning gray. The final result will also be more vibrant and have more gloss. Some colors are very difficult to achieve through direct painting, but through glazing, they can be easily achieved. Girl with a Pearl Earring is called the Mona Lisa of the North. I really like this work. This is my third time copying it. Many people think that this painting, like Da Vinci's Mona Lisa, uses a multi-layer glazing technique. Actually, this misunderstands a fact. To us, these are both classical oil paintings, but in fact, they are separated by about 150 years. In Da Vinci's time, oil painting was still a new phenomenon, whereas in Vermeer's time, oil painting techniques were already very mature. The painting methods between the two also have significant differences. According to examinations by modern conservation experts, Vermeer's works, although also involving multiple layers, are limited to a few layers of color, unlike Da Vinci's dozens of glazes. And the mediums Vermeer used were very simple, primarily ordinary linseed oil. Actually, in the last century's oil painting community, there were rumors about the secrets of classical oil painters and magical medium recipes. Under the scrutiny of modern high-tech equipment, it has been confirmed that these are just rumors. Early painters, like modern artists, needed to work in a rational and efficient manner. They chose suitable and reliable materials to ensure the quality of their work. There have also been many failed attempts in history, leading to those methods being eventually abandoned. The purpose of copying these paintings is to learn from the master's handling of the picture, composition and control of color. Learning these aspects can elevate the quality of our own work and help us go further on the path of art. Every time I finish copying a classic painting, I gain a great deal. Alright, that's all for today's content. If you want to watch the full process or receive guidance, you can join my membership channel. Thank you all for watching. Goodbye.